Okay, so this week's episode is actually a request made by one of our first subscribers, Megan Webb. Thank you, Megan, for asking. Megan asked us to talk about cheating and how to come back from it, like how to move forward and form trust again. And I'm gonna tackle this one alone because I've been there. I know firsthand how devastating it can be. And when it happened to me, I was like far from making the right choices afterwards with regards to love. Like from how I beat myself up about it, how I dealt with my future relationships, to how I actually dealt with it in that relationship where it happened. Blanket statement, we don't usually make like hyper generalizations on part of love, but today I think it calls for it because being cheated on sucks. And I'm pretty sure that's just like a universal truth. And yeah, I could put like a super positive spin on it, spit out any one of the many well-known Hollywood post-breakup platitudes that all our friends try so hard to tell us after we've been through something like this. You're better for it. You don't need her. Like, whatever. Honestly, they did you a favor. And the truth is, they actually did, but that doesn't matter right now, because right now it doesn't help it hurt any less. And that's because when somebody cheats on you, they break your heart, in some way, but they also break something else in you that I think is a lot harder to put back together. They break your trust. And no matter how hard it is to find love again, I think it is way harder to find trust. Why is it so hard for us to trust again after we've been hurt? That's the big thing that we're going to talk about today. And then we're going to give you 3 tips to help you rebuild yourself and get out there and find the trust and the love that you deserve. But before that, we got to talk about why breaking someone's trust is so devastating. I think one big reason is that we're all raised with certain ideas on how to lose love and then pull ourselves back up and bounce back and fix our broken hearts. Like, that's a pretty common thing that people talk about. There's a ton of like basic sayings about that. The horse bucks you off, get back in that saddle. Plenty of fish in the sea, that stuff. Like, there's always some way around it. Like, you'll get back out there and you'll find love again. At least we've got those sayings though that give us some kind of idea about how to deal with it. But when it comes to the mental consequences of having somebody you love break your trust, it's like the catchy phrase book people just left it out. Like, they were like, fuck it, they'll figure that out. So let's get straight into it with tip 1, looking back. Yes, oh yes, we got to start with a quick mental rewind because, as per the usual, when we learn about love, before we can go any further, we actually have to go back a little bit. And I know it sucks because we're going to do that thing that nobody likes to do, where we go back and look at that super painful thing that we really don't want to look at, but that's going to help us move forward eventually. Like you look in the one place you really don't want to look. But why don't you want to look there? You should probably look into that. And that thing that you don't want to look at is the cheating. Well, technically, it's the time right before the cheating. So, here we go. Look back at the relationship you were in with the person who cheated on you. And don't just take like a quick glance at it. Like, really get in there, really inspect it. And I mean, be brutally honest. Real talk, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Don't sugarcoat it. And I'm not saying like just what they did wrong or just what you did wrong. I'm talking about the things that they did right. What did you like? What did you love? And what did you loathe entirely? What did you do as a couple that was good? And what were your blind spots? There's a classic saying, hindsight is 20/20. So look back with clear eyes and a relatively clear heart at what that relationship really was leading up to the cheating. To be fair, I told you this was gonna suck. I gave you fair warning. I told you, this sucks. But as much as it sucks, it's so important to understand where the shortcomings were in the relationship on both sides, like where the faults were, and not the fault, but like the fault lines. Where were the mistakes you made as a unit? Knowing that is gonna help you see where it went wrong. So usually at this point, Ange would lay into some tough love, right? She can lay down the hammer. But I'm going to today for 2 reasons. 1, Ange is not here. And 2, because when this happened to me, I wish that somebody would have just been brutally honest, laid into me a little bit, and let me know this out of love. I think it would have helped me in the long run. If you say you didn't see this coming in any way, shape, or form, like you were just totally caught off guard, you weren't paying attention. Because when you love somebody honestly and openly, you can feel shifts in the relationship. We may have ignored them, but you didn't see them. Those are two different things. And they're hard to differentiate in the moment, but that's why we got to look back at it. And I personally don't know anybody who's been cheated on and didn't feel some kind of shift before it that they then just ignored. And I get it. Like, I did the exact same thing because we want to be comfortable. We don't want to push our person away. So we just like stuff these feelings down instead of caring enough about ourselves to say our piece. We never want to rock the boat, but if you feel a wave, you have to address it. I mean, look, it's definitely like way easier not to, but easy is not always what love's about. At least not the good stuff. We've looked back and that probably sucked. So tip 2, moving forward. It should give you at least a little bit of that emotional honesty and heartfelt love that your friends were trying to earlier. But this feeling is more permanent because it comes from you instead of anybody else. So you've done the work on the relationship from before, cheating happened, and now that's done. Even if you decided to stay with the person, which no judgments here, everybody's got different cases, there's a million different circumstances in the world. But no matter what, stay or go, the next step is the same. You have to move forward. Living your whole life based only on what your last relationship was isn't gonna help the next one. And don't misunderstand, like I am in no way saying just, forget it, because you can't forget it. You can't just force yourself to forget something right away. The mind and the heart are linked in ways we will probably never fully understand. So don't pretend to have forgotten it. But we can't hold on so tight to the pain of the past that it poisons our future before we even get to it. You deserve the love you want, but that love is probably gonna take a little work. And this is you doing that. I mean, even just clicking on this video is you taking another step to move yourself toward the love you deserve. So first things first, quick little round of applause for you, congratulations, and just keep moving forward. No more looking back now. The last one, creating your future. One of the things that we really never want to do here is sugarcoat things because that's not helpful to anybody. So I'm just going to lay it out there. This last step never really ends. So I don't want to sound like I've been watching way too much Gary Vee, but it kind of just boils down to, are you willing to create a place for the love you deserve? Are you willing to put in the time on the single most important aspect of what's going to make all your future relationships better? Now, one more time, all of that, even if it's not a quick fix, if you're still watching, I'm gonna assume that you are, you're in. Here's the major secret that it's taken me my whole life to learn, and a lot of the most painful years of it have been in the last 10 years with Ange. If you don't know who the fuck you are, how are you ever gonna love somebody else? Answer, you can't, it's impossible. Without knowing what of yourself you're willing to sacrifice for someone else and exactly equally what you are not willing to sacrifice for someone else, then how can you really love them? Without knowing what of yourself you're willing to sacrifice for someone else and exactly equally what you are not willing to sacrifice for someone else, then how can you really love them? There's this myth that we're told that love is just all ups, it's all giving and it's all bright, fluffy clouds with cupids and little cherubs that bing, and it's just like that. That's not the whole thing. But real love is harder to market because it takes work. Sometimes loving someone is telling them the hard truth. Sometimes it's leaving because it's not healthy for either of you to stay. And sometimes it's doing things that in the short term feel like they hurt them, but in the long term are gonna help them. But if you don't know who you are or what you're about, if you're not at least looking, then you'll never have the love you deserve. And hey, maybe I'm wrong about you, you particularly, maybe that's not the kind of love you want, or maybe it's just that that's not the love you think you deserve yet, but you do. You matter more in this equation than you know. And that's why time and time again, Ange and I talk about how important self-love is. Creating your future is about creating yourself authentically and honestly and openly, and then sitting back and letting the universe do the other half. It's like any good relationship, it's 50-50. You have to love yourself the way you want to be loved. I mean, how is it that we can ask somebody else to do the things that we'd be willing to do for them, but that we won't do for ourselves? You gotta spend time with you, just you. Listen to what calls to you. And then when you're ready, you can share that. So, if you've been cheated on, or just gone through a nasty breakup or relationship, or you just need some mental and emotional healing, know that it is totally fine if your friends can't immediately make you feel better. And as much as I wish it could, this video can't either. The only thing that will make that and most situations better is time. But you taking these 3 steps to get you moving forward again will help you heal while time does its thing. Because learning to trust again after we've been hurt is very hard, but it's a part of love. If anybody else has any episodes that they want to see, let us know and we'll do our best to get them in the queue.